Greetings, everyone. It's a little after 4:15. We're supposed to start at 4:15, so let's go ahead and get started. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Lynn?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Motion to approve the agenda as proposed.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're going to start today our council work session at, our 4:15 council work session is a presentation by Rick Young. And Rick is here to discuss the Sportsplex Development Agreement. Rick, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, kind of pull the microphone over there in front of you and, oh yeah, just tell us who you are, Rick. So
Okay,
just-
Rick Young, representing Waterloo Development Corporation, regarding the development agreement between the Sportsplex and with the WDC and the city of Waterloo.
Very good, thank you.
When this project kind of started, one of the first things we did on funding it was look at the sales tax rebate, which is available in the state of Iowa for nonprofits and for communities, cities, and stuff like this. So when you build, you don't pay, the university doesn't pay, and the hospitals don't, and stuff and that. And so we've always considered that was part of the funding, we would be able to get some of that money back. We had meetings with the City of Waterloo's attorney from Des Moines before the project got going over the possibility of that. He looked at the laws. It's a gray area, but there's other nonprofits that have done it with cities that turned the property over to the city. I think it was either a case in Council Bluffs or Sioux City, something like that. That did it. So the agreement was written up with the City of Waterloo and with the WDC. Noth looked at that, William Noth, the attorney, looked at that and thought it would work. But a clause was put in there that said if it wasn't funded and there was a mortgage and stuff like this, the city would have the option of backing out at the end of the 8 years when we hope all the pledges are in at that time. What the dollar amount we're talking about, and I don't have the exact numbers right now, is over $500,000 of sales tax that was spent on it.
The potential rebate.
The potential rebate, yeah. So it's over 500,000, so we're talking real money here. That's a real contributor, and it's our money that went down to Des Moines, and if it doesn't come back here, it gets spread around the state. Since the project got about done, William Noth has been in contact with the Department of Revenue. They looked over everything. They are concerned with that one clause in there. I think that's the only one that Noth said. So we are asking the WDC then that the City of Waterloo remove that clause. For that, consideration for that, the WDC will give the City of Waterloo a guarantee that the mortgage will be totally paid off. We are within, with that rebate, we're within about a maximum of 7. I think it's going to be right around $500,000 still to raise in the project. We've raised $23.5 million so far, so we will raise the last $500,000. Mm-hmm. So what we would be asking is that clause be removed from the agreement with the City of Waterloo.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And council, just FYI, we have checked, Bill Noth, who is the attorney from Allers, who is our attorney representing us on this project from the beginning, has checked with the Department of Revenue. And we have been assured that without that, and the technical term for that is a put clause. So if that put clause is removed, then there should be no issue in the city receiving the sales tax rebate. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty cut and dry. We were going to have it on we were going to have the request to be on the agenda for next Monday, but now we're not having a meeting next Monday, so it will be on for the 28th. And again, it's a pretty straightforward deal. Does anybody have questions of Rick or comments of Rick or of Michelle or me or anybody else? Paul is also here. Tom?
So at the end, the WDC will make sure that all pledges are,
Yeah,
you're going to guarantee.
There'll be no mortgage on
Somebody
it.
doesn't give you the money, you guys are going to give us, you won't have any mortgage on
There
it.
won't be any mortgage. So when you pay WDC the dollar, you're getting it free and clear. $27.5 million project.
Are we worried at all with the casino be changing hands possibly? They have a big pledge. Or is that really coming from the gaming association?
As long as that casino's out there, you know, they still have to put in, whoever owns it has to put in their, 6%, 7% goes to the gaming association? Yeah. So,
Mr. Young,
yeah.
Pat?
if this wasn't approved, what would the consequences be?
Well, we'd be out $500,000+, and, you know, be hurting there to raise another 500,000. When it was money we'd already expected, you know, and always thought we would get. Worst case scenario, the city didn't want to do it, the way the agreement's written is WDC would own the building. And they could sell it to anybody, I guess, they wanted to. You know, if the city reneged on their part of it, yeah.
Mr. Schmidt?
Rick, so the guarantee, when you're saying the guarantee, the $500,000, that guarantee comes from the WDC?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That they will pay off the mortgage.
Okay. And then I guess the only other question I have is, you know, going back to the beginning on this, was the Ehlers law firm, who's now telling us this is what we need to do, are they the ones that told us that the put would work to begin with? I mean, it seems to me we're paying a lot of attorneys here, and I think we've been getting some pretty poor legal opinion in a variety of different things lately. So whether it has to do with, you know, San Martin or EPA or this deal. So is this the same law firm
The same law firm that did what, Steve?
that did this agreement originally?
It's the law firm that authored the agreement, yeah, the
Okay.
development agreement. Yes, that's correct, it is.
Okay.
And the reason is, this is a hybrid, there's no question about it. There's two ways that you can get the sales tax rebate. A city, and like Board of Regents get it automatically, they apply before they do a project. It's just a stamp and you get it. The other nonprofits and stuff like this generally build the building, then have to send it in to be submitted after the fact, which is what we had to do. We had to go that route. Because, and the reason it was done this way is we couldn't finance $27 million project in the time it took to build the building. We had to extend it out, so the Gaming Commission made their pledges, and McElroy and a lot of the private people and private foundations made their commitments over 8 years, so that they made bigger commitments. In fact, 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 8 gave the biggest commitments they've ever done. Because of that, so we could extend it out, and to do that, extended it out, still pay for the building and have the use of the building, then we had to put a mortgage on it. So that's why the WDC, as a nonprofit, kept title to it until it's paid off, then turns it back to the city.
And I guess, Steve, to respond to your comment about Ollers, again, I'll refer to it as its legal term, the put clause, was put in there at our recommendation. You know, we have been promised from Jump Street on this project that we would get a building mortgage-free that was paid for. And it was my commitment to the citizens that when Rick came to us with this issue about the sales tax refund being in jeopardy because of that clause, it's something that none of us thought of in the beginning. But I stood firm that I thought that we could agree to remove that clause if there was a guarantee of some other kind. That, you know, there has to be that assurance that when this building is done, that it's mortgage-free. And Rick and the WDC has done that. So to me, it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other. As long as we get a mortgage-free building, then yes, Michelle.
Mr. Mayor, one clarification. There's a mortgage
Yes,
and there's pledges.
yes.
Are they all guaranteed?
Well, the pledges, well, I mean, they're
I mean, is the WDC guaranteeing the mortgage and the pledges? Say,
WDC is guaranteeing the mortgage will be paid off. And the only way they can do that is pledges come in. So basically, yes, Tom. Yeah.
If the pledge is not collectible, WDC will have to find some other way to pay that.
To cover it. Yeah. So that's what the WDC is. And what the put was in there, so you didn't take it and there was a mortgage on it. And that, Steve, I mean, I was on the other end of it, but that was good legal advice. Because at that point, we were looking at a set of plans and a big dream, and we'd raised, 17, 18 million at that point in time. We had quite a bit of money to raise. And that's a lot of money to raise in a community like this. So now the building's up. You got 1,150 members as of today or something like that. It's getting a lot of use that nobody thought it was going to be there. So now you can see the product. People are using it. It's every age group, every nationality, every language, every color in this community is over there every day, using it. So it's working well. Now I think it's a lot safer for you to take the put off, because we're down to 6 figures to raise on that, and we can do that, less than 5%, about 4% of the project still to raise. But nobody knew until you apply to them after the project with the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Mr. Young, you had said that there was 23.5 million raised and you had another $500,000 to go, if I remember what you just said. And then you said, but it's a $27 million project. Where's that $3 million difference?
The
24 to
city
27.
supplied the land.
Okay.
Some land over there, and you'd had probably half of that, 2/3 of that land you'd owned for several years, been buying up that, and then some were paid by the city outright, some were paid from flood. FEMA paid to take those, and I think you bought them at a discount from there, so.
So that's that other $3 million?
At the city, we show it about 2.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about the competitive pool? Where does that stand with?
That's kind of phase 3. We ended up building the leisure pool, and that was the first, and we didn't have that funded when we said, but we had great prices on it from the contractors, and we said we got to do it. Best thing we did. I mean, it gets a lot of use over there. But the competitive pool, they've been meeting on it. They're still meeting on it and working with the schools and stuff to see on design and everything else what the price will be and if they can raise the money for it. Land's there. It's where we put that extra parking lot in, which was an extra.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Sweeter?
I just feel compelled to make a comment about the legal advice because we rely on that Allers firm. They said from the very beginning that we would have to apply for this. This was not something typical in Iowa.
Right.
And they had helped another community do it. Our specific version that was presented wasn't exactly in conformance with that case. So I don't believe the city got bad legal advice. We followed the process that was set out to be followed to determine if it was going to be eligible. And that's where we're at today.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions today of Rick? Most likely, unless you have further questions today, or unless something comes up, we won't hear about this again until 2 weeks from tonight. A week from next Monday, it'll be on the agenda for approval. Anything else? Rick, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Quick question.
Yes, sir. Tom?
Who would review the change? Ayler's law firm?
Well, there's been a bazillion people, but Allers is our legal counsel for this case. And Bill Noth, who is the attorney that has worked with us on this, is the primary attorney involved in the case, Tom. Thanks. Thanks. I'm sorry? Oh, and you use Chris Wendland, yeah. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, we got 15 minutes, guys. Our next topic is the proposed vehicle tow ordinance, but that's not scheduled till 4:45, and this one finished earlier than we anticipated, so we've got 15 minutes to hang around or do whatever. But Rick, you're free to go or free to stay or whatever you'd like to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
If you have any questions.
You wish to adjourn?
Council work session is a proposed vehicle tow ordinance that's being submitted by Director Trelka. Dan, why don't you tell us what you've got here, please?
Well, this is an ordinance that the officers brought to me. It's an ordinance that's currently in effect in Cedar Rapids, has been in effect since 2009. Cedar Rapids adopted a similar ordinance from Chicago, and our officers heard that Cedar Rapids was having quite a bit of success with the ordinance. And this is all part of our efforts to make it stick. We've had a lot of success in Waterloo, so we've gone to the employees and asked them how with the crime rate down the way it is, we're still having shootings, but not as frequently as we had in the past. We haven't had a homicide, technically haven't had a homicide in Waterloo yet this year.
There's some wood we can knock on there somewhere.
So this is part of our efforts to make it stick. The officers realize that. Sergeant McGue has been researching this for months and has brought it forward to myself and Captain Leibold. We took a look at it, and we thought this was a pretty good ordinance. We did adjust it a little bit to our community because in Cedar Rapids they toll for a lot more violations than we're suggesting. We consider these our top-tier problems in Waterloo. One example where they toll, where we're not proposing, is we'll tow your vehicle if you're operating while revoked or barred. In Cedar Rapids, they'll tow you if you're suspended as well. And, people make mistakes. They do end up with a suspended license, but revoked or being barred is much worse than a suspension. We want to be, you've heard me use the term compassionate accountability. We want to be a little bit more compassionate in Waterloo. Cedar Rapids charges $500 in a civil penalty for these vehicles. We only want to charge $250. And they're towing 1,500 vehicles a year in Cedar Rapids. If we pass this ordinance, I would anticipate we'd tow 350 to 400 and charge $250. So here's the violations that we're proposing that we would tow these for. And in order for the person to get the vehicle back, here's what they'd have to go through. They'd have to come to the police station and present the following: a title, bill of sale or registration, government ID, and proof of insurance on the vehicle. Then they'd pay $250. We'd give them a receipt that they've done everything that's required of them to get the vehicle back. They take the receipt to the tow company, and then they pay the storage fees and the towing fees, and they get the vehicle back. There is all of you have copies of the proposed ordinance. It's fairly simple with some legalese in it. Chris Wendland has reviewed it and adjusted it to his liking. Even though an attorney has been involved, it's still only 5 pages long, which impressed me. So it's quite simple when it comes to legalese terms. But it's, in essence, almost word for word what Cedar Rapids is successfully utilizing. In regard to the due process, there's a hearing component built in to the ordinance. And I was surprised that Cedar Rapids is only conducting 3 to 5 hearings a year. I expected that it would probably be at least 10 a month. So I found that interesting. Some of the benefits of the program. All right, here. It's simply an additional tool to get people to help us combat crime. It also provides deterrence to those who are using, to people who are loaning vehicles to criminals who are engaging in criminal behavior. Now, a lot of times, these people who are loaning the vehicles don't specifically know that the vehicle is going to be used in criminal behavior, but they'd be ignorant not to at least suspect. Ron, can I use you for an example? Let's say you have a nephew who, he's a member of the Skinheads. He just got out of prison, doesn't have a job, yet he's always got money to spend. And he asked to use your vehicle. Now, you don't know that he's engaged in criminal behavior, but based on those facts, you should suspect. With an ordinance with this ordinance and the police department utilizing it, Ron would have second thoughts about loaning that vehicle to his nephew. So that the nephew would have to find some other means of transportation. Also, a lot of these people that we're coming into contact with have significant issues with their driving record. We're all about forgiveness. If people come back into society and they're willing to engage in being a productive member of society, we work with them. This city works with them. The council works with them. But if people continually and regularly and often engage in criminal behavior, they end up with some significant problems that we want to we want to hold it over their head with these vehicles. Tom Ferguson has said if you've earned a felony in or if you get convicted of a felony in Black Hawk County, you've earned it. It's not easy. You have to work at it. And I believe in that philosophy as well. The biggest problem we're having is with people who, as I've said, engage in criminal behavior and continue to engage in it, and those and other people support them in that by loaning them vehicles or whatever. Now, when these people with their driving records get in these situations where they're a habitual offender, it's difficult for them to get a vehicle registered. So we find what we're coming across is straw buyers for the vehicle. They will go to Uncle Ron and say, hey, Ron, I can't purchase a vehicle. I can't register it in my name. Can I register it in your name? That's another scenario we're coming across that this ordinance would help us in our ability to combat crime. It would also reduce liability to the city. Typically, the way the police department operates in these situations is we'll take the person into custody and we'll leave the vehicle right there. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen where then the vehicle will get vandalized, or it'll get stolen, or whatever, and it exposes the city to liability. At least if we're towing it and putting it in a secure location, it reduces some of that liability. It's also a self-funded program. As I said, in Cedar Rapids, they're towing about 1,500 vehicles per year at $500 per vehicle. Running the numbers in your head, that's about $750,000 per year that the users of these valuable services are paying to maintain the services of law enforcement. The estimate I'm giving Waterloo is $150 to $175. We wouldn't have to add any additional employees. We would simply have to adjust the way we operate. The process we're recommending, we would have to contract with several attorneys to conduct the hearings, but the contract would be written as such that we wouldn't need to pay them unless they're needed. Cedar Rapids is paying, I believe, $95 for each hearing, and they have 3 attorneys at their disposal. They're not city attorneys, they're private attorneys they contract with. I believe Cedar Rapids started with 2 tow companies initially, but through the bid process, but only one of them has survived because the second tow company hasn't lived up to their expectations, but the second one has expanded their business 40% since instituting this ordinance in 2009. So at that, I'll just answer any questions you may have.
Counsel, Mr. Welper?
Dan, what is going to be the cost for towing, and what is the cost for storage, and how long before the storage company sells it for salvage? Will they keep it?
Currently, the tow company Cedar Rapids charges $68 for the tow, $16 a day for storage, and I believe, according to Iowa code, and they rely a lot on the Iowa code for abandoned vehicles, I believe they keep it in their possession for about 30 days before they ultimately decide whether they're going to salvage it, destroy it,
Sure.
or sell it at auction. The vehicles they're selling at auction, they don't sell any vehicle at auction that's worth less than $5,000. If it's worth less than $5,000, they're demolishing it.
Mr. Schmidt?
The first slide you had, Dan, with the various offenses, what's being done today in those situations?
Typically, the vehicle is, unless, one violation that we're looking at is a hit and run where there's injury or death. Now, in a situation like that, we would tow it anyway as evidence. If there's no evidentiary value to the vehicle for us, it's typically left right there.
So like a DWI, you just arrest
Just
the
leave it there.
driver and leave the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Chief, if Councilman Welper and I are riding and he's driving, since we've been using Councilman Welper today, and I didn't know he had some weed paraphernalia in his pocket, and we get stopped, and that fits under number 652B, drug paraphernalia, and he gets arrested, but I'm there. Am I able to take his car with me, or do we both, he gets arrested and I have to walk?
Well, and the one thing that we took out of it, that Cedar Rapids has, is if you have paraphernalia on you, or just possession of drugs, we're not gonna tow it. You have to be selling it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or let's say you're involved in the manufacture of the paraphernalia, then we'd tow it.
Okay. Cool.
But, and there is a little discretion on the part of the officers on scene. Generally, the vehicle would be towed under this tow policy. There are always extenuating circumstances as to why there isn't a need to tow it.
But could I drive? If he says, you know, he can take my car, could I drive?
No. Not if we're going to tow it for one of these violations. Generally, no.
So we're riding together, it gets towed anyway, even though he gives me the ability to take the car myself and I'm a legal driver.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lynn?
Do we currently have a towing company we're working with to tow vehicles and impound them?
Yes, and it depends on the circumstances. If we take a vehicle for evidentiary purposes and we have the room, we have city facilities will keep the vehicle at. If we run out of room or there's circumstances where we may need it for just a short term, there are several tow companies that we utilize that have secure areas where we can store vehicles.
Because aren't they, once they tow it, then the vehicle's under their insurance and care, and
Yes,
so if it gets vandalized, we're not liable.
correct, yes. Right now, we use a wheel. I think we've got about 3 tow companies that we rely upon, and I forget how the wheel works. One tow company might be responsible today, another one tomorrow, and a third one on Wednesday.
Do we have an ordinance now, if a vehicle's abandoned, sits there for a couple days? Paul, do we have an ordinance?
I think I know the answer, but go ahead, Chief.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the vehicle, our general practice in the city of Waterloo is, whether good, bad, or indifferent, it has to sit for one heck of a long time for us to ultimately tow it as an abandoned vehicle. Matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because I talked to Mr. Rice. We may modify this to tow the serial offenders in snow emergencies, because we have that happen on a regular basis downtown. And the city clerk was telling me that when it comes to abandoned vehicles, the police department could do a better job in dealing with them. And I can incorporate both aspects of that into this ordinance to address them.
Tom, I think, Dan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, you can ticket a vehicle if it's sat in the same location for 24 hours without being moved, and you can technically tow the vehicle in 48 hours if it hasn't been moved. That's technically.
But we're reasonable. We
That's
don't wanna
correct.
tow it before 8 hours.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's pretty, I think that's fairly accurate, those time limits.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Jones?
A couple of questions. To get the car back, do the tags have to be current? Is that part of it or not part of it?
Yes, I believe so. It definitely has to have insurance on it.
Okay, but nothing about...
But yes, it needs, because technically you can't operate a car on the road unless it has current registration, so yes.
Okay, so that's why it's not called out specifically.
Maybe I probably worded it poorly in the PowerPoint presentation with the title, bill of sale, or registration.
Okay.
Probably what I should have said is up-to-date registration.
Yeah, and registration is license, isn't it? I
Yes.
mean, if it's registered, it's licensed.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And can you clarify section 6-5-7? I was kind of unclear about that section.
Yeah.
Which one was that, David?
657, disposal of unclaimed or abandoned vehicles.
Once somebody gets a notice, they have 10 days to come in and get the vehicle or at least communicate with us before it's considered an abandoned vehicle. And if I'm not mistaken, that's legalese that Chris Wendland put in there because that's a criteria or a threshold established by state code. If you don't claim, if we have your vehicle and you don't claim it, I believe within 10 days, it's considered an abandoned vehicle by state code.
After notification, I would think. I mean,
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
After notification.
I would think so. I mean, I didn't see that, but I think.
But
10 days after the date of delivery of proper notification.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
But you have to pay for it within 10 days? I'm just worried about, someone that can't pay the 250 plus the towing plus the storage within 10
They'll
days?
find it if they want their car back.
Well, okay. But if they have to have the money to get it out, I'm just not sure everybody's in that position to do that.
Say, we really watered this down from Cedar Rapids version to make it more conducive for Waterloo, in our opinion.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I think the abandoned vehicle, that's just saying then it's considered an abandoned vehicle, and then there's a process after that. So, I wanna say it's 20 days notice, but I haven't read
Okay.
that part in a long time. So it's not necessarily that they just have the 10 days, it's just that the next process starts, which is the abandoned vehicle process. So they actually have longer than that they could fight the abandoned vehicle process and still get their vehicle back.
I think
But the
realistically,
fees-
they get 30 days.
But the fees still run.
They
that
do.
Daily storage charge.
Yeah.
They do.
Chief Joe, yeah. It looks like 1 through 9 are different events that occurred that resulted in an arrest.
Yes.
Okay, and maybe I missed something, but what happens if the person is found not guilty or the case is dismissed, and their car was impounded, but yet they're not guilty, or the case was dismissed?
That's a really good question. The burden of proof for a criminal offense is beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof for this is beyond clear and convincing evidence, so there's a lower burden, so they could easily be still held accountable for this and not for the criminal offense.
Okay, but what if even clear and convincing is not proven? Or the case is dismissed?
I have discretion in not ensuring that there's no charges levied against them, the civil fee, that is. But they still have the tow company that they need to negotiate with at that point. Because the private partner in this whole venture has incurred cost. And, he can waive the fees as well, or he or she or they if they want to. But there's discretion built in for the city through me in the ordinance and the civil penalty.
Could the affected party then come back on the city and, I don't know, sue the city for damages in that? If their vehicle was impounded, they had no use of it, and yet the charges were dismissed, or they were found not guilty by clear and convincing even?
I'm sure in our litigious society they could, but I'm comfortable in saying the extent of what they'd get is what they lost. And nothing beyond that.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones?
Instead of towing, did you consider the boot like Cedar Falls is considering?
No. What I like about this is it's more secure, it's more controlled. I don't think anybody can defeat the boot, but I think what we'd have is we'd end up with 100 cars sitting on the street with boots on them, and they'd ultimately have to be towed anyway.
Further? Very good. Dan, when do you expect to bring this to council?
I would probably bring it to council the first Monday in August.
Okay, very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, council.
Finance Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Certainly, Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda is proposed and also the minutes from July 7th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have some new business.
Madam Chairperson, I'd be delighted to
Thank
take
you.
that new business. First, we have Officers Nissen and Frine for the Tactical Warrant Service Training in Johnston, Iowa, September 8th through the 10th, at a cost not to exceed $460. Next, we have Investigator Monroe to the Iowa Advanced Crime Scene School in Raymond, Iowa, September 22nd through the 26th, at a cost not to exceed $300. And finally, we have Mayor Buck Clark to the National League of Cities Congress of Cities and Exposition in Austin, Texas, November 19th through the 23rd, at a cost not to exceed $1,450.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Those items pass, and we have a bunch of pre-auths.
Madam Chairperson, I'll take
Thank
the
you.
pre-auths. And the first is for the city attorney not to exceed $1,000 for legal fees for Hall and Associates for further work related to the League of Iowa Cities litigation with EPA and DNR. City clerk in the amount of $3,590 for 10 iPads. That's for the mayor, clerk, finance, and council agenda automation. And city clerk in the amount of $12,449 for Iowa League of Cities membership dues for July 1st, 2014 through June 30, 2015. Community development not to exceed $4,000. Training for 24-hour lead abatement worker. Human rights in the amount of $8,000 for the Building Healthy Community Symposium, July 25th and 26th, 2014 at Allen College, Unity Point Health Campus. Leisure services in the amount of $1,760 plus $35 shipping and handling for 4 electric hand drivers for Irv Warren Pro Shop. Leisure services for 1 80-volt, 510-amp industrial battery for Young Arena's 2008 electric Zamboni. Leisure services, $10,400 plus $875 shipping and handling for 1 new conditioner for Young Arena's 2008 Zamboni. Sanitation in the amount of $19,650 plus $400 shipping and handling for a PTO clutch, assuming this is assembly, screens and conveyor for tub grinder. Sanitation in the amount of $25,000 for 35, 65, and 95-gallon garbage carts. Traffic operations in the amount of $1,246.43 plus $43.50 shipping and handling for a joystick assembly to repair Bombardier. And waste management services in the amount of $4,113.19 plus $7.57 shipping and handling for repair of Aries PE 3500 camera, serial number 1208052 on TV van number 14114. 114. Okay, I think I got enough ones. Waste management services in the amount of $5,150 for cartograph software and services contract over October 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2015. Waste management services in the amount of $4,449 plus $400 shipping and handling for 3-yard, 8-gallon self-dumping hopper for collection and dumping of bar screenings. Waste management services amount of $4,722.22. Autodesk Infrastructure Design Suite Premium 2015. Government Upgrade and Autodesk Infrastructure Design Suite Premium 2015. Government Subscription and Advanced Support 1 year. Waste Management, the amount of $1,720 for hauling of overflow from North Hackett Lift Station from 6/19 through 6/20, 2014. Waste Management $2,954 for hauling overflow from North Hackett Lift Station 630 to 7/1/2014. Waste management, amount of $2,500 for 10,000 sandbags.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
I had a couple questions. I was wondering first on the city attorney, $1,000 to Hall and Associates. Can somebody tell me, is that, I mean, are the communities all over Iowa contributing that? Is that based on population? I mean, how do we arrive at those kind of numbers?
It's, Michelle, maybe, it is all over Iowa, and it's a shared cost for him to fight statewide the discharge issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got it. It
Yeah,
is,
and the fee is set.
several large communities went together
Yeah.
to defend it.
And I
Set,
think it's the large cities, isn't it?
I believe,
It's the
yeah, I
10
don't
large
remember how
cities.
many, maybe 20,
Oh, okay.
but
but we're kicking it 1,000 apiece, basically, you
Yes.
think? Okay. All right. And on sanitation, the 25,000 for the garbage carts, I've heard a number of comments this year that the new carts we're getting seem to be considerably lower quality than the old carts. You heard that?
Mark Rice, Public Works Director. I have heard that and I've witnessed that, and I guess it's the old adage, they just don't make them like they used to. We've got quite a few of the 1995 when we first got into the cart business that are still on the street today, but whether it be wear and tear from the vehicles, and we've adjusted the grippers on the trucks, to just the inordinate cold from the winter, we're about 400 carts behind right now in deliveries between exchanges of size and damaged carts, so.
I heard like the plastic was thinner and the wheels, the hinges.
I haven't
everything
actually put a micrometer on it, but just a field test tells you that they just don't make them like they used to.
And are we kind of limited on our vendors for that?
We're limited. There's only 2 vendors that really supply that,
Is that right? Okay.
and because they're all serialized, so we've got record of every cart at every address. So.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I had a question as
Yes,
well.
sir.
Mark, to continue with that, years ago, we talked about phasing out the small cart. And secondly, I don't remember the small cart being 35 gallon. Wasn't it smaller than that?
That's what I have, is 35 gallon, is the small one.
Has there been any further discussion of phasing out the small cart?
We don't have nearly as many small ones. Usually, our freight charges are based on 1 truckload, so we will fill a truckload with a few of the small ones. Predominantly, we go through mediums and larges, and that's what this order will be.
Sure.
All I did was give you the quote for the price of all 3.
Sure.
Anything else?
I've got one
Yes, sir.
quick question on the 10 iPads for mayor, clerk, finance, and council. If we already have iPads, do we need to buy more? I mean,
You don't, you certainly could use your own when we
Elect
get to
to use
that
our
point.
own.
This is just a pre-auth. I'll definitely be talking to you before we get there. I just needed to get the pre-auth before, so this is more of a not to exceed. I certainly have conversations with you before they're purchased. I just wanted to make sure that we were ready to go when we get to that point, so.
Sure, yeah.
I'm getting mine first, so I figured why do 2 pre-auths?
yeah, this would be good, but if we can save money for ones that we
Absolutely.
don't need up front, the better, because I think 3 of us have them.
Will we be going with iPad 3s? Will we require 3s? I mean, because I think David's the only one here who has a 3.
We will be going with the iPad Air, I believe it's the newest
Oh,
one that's
the
out
new
there.
ones.
Because that's what they gave us a greatly reduced price on, compared to what you can buy at the store. But my understanding is the software would work with any of the versions. I don't know that you necessarily would have to have the newer one. That's just what the cell phone company is giving us at a reduced rate.
Okay.
Oh.
Anything else?
I'll need it.
All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I move that we approve 3 project budgets. They are on file in Ms. Scher's office.
Madam Chairperson, if I could ask one quick question about one of those items.
Yes, sir.
Paul, on the 82,000 for the tree damage from DuPont, it looks like about 70,000 of the 82,000 is for everything but trees. Is that typical that that settlement is used so much more for other things like fuel and aggregate and things like
Paul
that?
Hudding, Leisure Services Director. Is this working?
Well, it is. Mark had it popping when he was
Sometimes.
talking. Yeah.
Bop it.
Yeah.
Everything that we spend here is related to forestry in one way or another, but there's a lot of equipment and other purchases. There's no restriction on how we spend that money. It's basically a cash loss to the city, the value of those trees that were lost. So it's up to you all to decide, and you've approved those expenditures as we go with this money.
Well, I guess my question is, should we be spending more of that on trees, or are we getting good tree replacement for the 10,000 or whatever the number is for the trees we lost?
I think that the equipment that we've been purchasing is well needed for our overall forestry operation, so that's our opinion that that's the best expenditure. We do have recurring Mid-American grants and other fund sources, Green Scene and other, and we do purchase trees every year. So we think this will be the best for the overall forestry operations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further? All in favor, vote by the,
Did we get a second? I didn't hear a second.
Second
no, I hear one now.
or third?
Okay. All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I move, those items pass. I move that we pay the bills this week, which are $6,726,273.36, 6,726,273.36.
Second.
It's large because we have 2 payrolls in there, and it's construction season, so we're paying a lot of bills. All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterloo City Council this Monday, July 14th. Madam Clerk, would you start us by reading the roll, please?
Most certainly. Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Lind? Here. Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Wolper?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Very good, thank you. If you would all stand me, please, and join me in just a moment of silent reflection or prayer. And as we do so, if we could all remember Mr. Jim Burton. I'm sure many of you guys, many of you folks in the audience today knew Jim, but Jim was an incredible citizen. He was a city council a long time ago and has been a long-standing member of the Waterloo community that has contributed much, and we lost him last week. So let's all remember Jim as we say a silent prayer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our Director Human Rights Director is going to lead us in our pledge tonight. Abraham, please.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart.
I move that we approve a very amended agenda, and those amendments are deleting number 5 in the regular council information, deleting number 24, also adding proclamation as July 21st meeting has been canceled, declaring Water and Wastewater Works of Iowa Week. Or adding, wait, no, yeah, well, adding 1B19 and 1B20 for special class and Class C liquor for that. Adding a number 6, purchase of snow removal equipment. Adding a number 7, purchase of snow removal equipment, pickup truck with plow. Adding a number 8, purchase of snow removal equipment, front end loader. Adding 26 to cancel the city council meeting on July 21st. Adding 27, resolution for public hearing. Adding, approving designating financial institutions on 28. And then in 29, that will be a resolution dismissing prior bids and authorizing rebid along with, and in the regular language that's in there with resetting the bid, et cetera. Along with the very amended agenda, I also move that we approve the minutes of July 7th, 2014 regular session and also July 3rd special session as proposed.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions? Again, we had many amendments to the agenda tonight. Any questions or comments regarding any of the amendments or the agenda or the minutes from last week? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. That motion carries. Thank you. We have a couple of pieces of business to take care of tonight. Ann Northey, I didn't see Ann come in. Ann, are you here? Oh, Ann is right there. I'm sorry. Good. Come on up, Ann, please. Just come on up, Ann. Gosh, you were sitting there behind Tim, and I didn't see you there. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Come on up here and turn around and face the camera. You know, it's always a pleasure, and it's an honor for me to recognize people that have worked for the city for a long time. And Ann has been here for 30 years, and boy, we just so appreciate folks. And it seems like we're having more and more people that stick around the city for a long time. So that's an indication maybe that we're providing a good place to work and that you've enjoyed it, et cetera, et cetera. So Ann, I will give you this plaque tonight, and I will give you also certainly my appreciation and congratulations for being here. And we hope you're with us for a while yet. So, okay, and this is a plaque honoring Ann Northey for 30 years of service, and it says, presented to Anna Northey on July 10th, 2014, in appreciation of 30 years of valuable and dedicated service to the city of Waterloo. So if you would all please help me in just really recognizing Anna and thank you so much. Okay, would you like to say a couple of words? I gave Anna the opportunity to say a couple of words, and she took me up on it, so that's great.
Well,
Go ahead. Just
I know you have a big agenda
We
tonight.
do have a big
So
agenda.
I'll be brief.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you. It's been a wonderful job to work in community development. I've been in the same department for 30 years and had 5 administrators that I worked with. And I enjoy knowing that what we do with the programs we have is really serving the community. And I thank you for this recognition, you and the council.
You're
And I
welcome.
hope to be around for a little bit longer.
good. And thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And we have a proclamation tonight declaring Water and Wastewater Workers of Iowa Week. Dennis, why don't you come on up? Larry was going to be here with us tonight, but Larry is ill tonight, so I will read this and give it to you, and I'll give Larry's tomorrow. This is City of Waterloo, Iowa proclamation. Whereas our surface and groundwaters are a treasured natural resource, and whereas the water and wastewater workforce of the City of Waterloo have dedicated themselves to applying environmental science to enhance the drinking and recreational waters of our great city. And whereas their applied environmental science-based knowledge and practices continue to be a vital element in improving the quality of life of our citizens and visitors. And whereas these employees preserve and protect the public's health in our city while promoting sustainability in our way of living. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Buck Clark, Mayor of the City of Waterloo, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the week of July 20th through the 26th as Water and Wastewater Workers of Iowa Week. Dennis, I'm going to give that to you and ask you to say a couple words.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for this recognition. The real heroes of the water and wastewater are the folks in customer service, the workers and wastewater operators that keep our plant and facilities running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and are literally in the trenches every day keeping things bolted together and running. It's something that's easy to take for granted, but there's really a lot of work involved in doing so. So thank you for this recognition.
You're welcome, Dennis. And you know, when I brought you up, I didn't recognize Dennis as the director of our Waterloo Waterworks. So thank you for all that you do too, Dennis. Thank you. What's that?
Remember?
What? Oh, no, I will remember. Okay. Now, I've got one more thing that's not on the agenda, and Quentin just reminded me, not that I would have forgotten, Quentin, but this week is when we have From the Heart in the city, and we've been doing this annually for quite some time, and Councilman Hart is in charge of this program where we get several volunteers from the community that, or from outside the community that come in and really help us out. So Quentin, why don't you go forward and take the microphone and introduce these folks.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, and everyone else here for just giving us a couple seconds to talk about a very, very special week that's being held. I'm going to ask if our group work camp staff and folks will come up here, please. And From the Heart is a project that's been in existence for about 6 years, and I like to tell people it's H-E-A-R-T, not H-A-R-T. And the purpose of the project is kind of two or threefold. First, this is taking place, this is the 6th year, and within 6 years we've accomplished some tremendous work. If God willing and everything goes to plan, this will have been the 300th home that has been improved by the partnership between our local co-sponsor group, From the Heart, and group work camps out of Loveland, Colorado. The second fold or second tier is that it's not just about bricks and mortar of the houses, it's about helping to impact the lives of the residents that live in Waterloo, Iowa, and to show them some goodwill by actually showing service in action. So we have our group, we have over 350 young people, we have great staff, great adult leaders, so you hear me talking all the time, so I'll allow them to say something.
Hello, my name is Lisa McCarty, and I'm the camp director for the Waterloo Work Camp, and we do have over 350 youth and adults from 10 different states that are in Waterloo this week. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Clark for inviting us to come here today, and the community of Waterloo has been so hospitable. And a special thank you to Quentin Hart and his staff at From the Heart. They are amazing, group of people to work with. It's one of the camps that runs so smoothly because they have put so much time and energy into all the details before we even come in. And then also we wanted to thank too Alyssa Richards and Central Middle School, because we have the 350 plus people that have descended upon the school, and we sleep on their floors and we eat in their cafeteria, and our program is in the gym. And so far it's been just an amazing week, and the residents today were so welcoming, and we just are so blessed by that. And Group Mission Trips has been in existence for 37 years, and this summer we will top over 300,000 youth and adults that have volunteered their time, and we have helped over 15,000 projects, or have had over 15,000 projects. And I'm here with some of the members of this, and I would really like them to have the opportunity to share just a little bit about why they're here and what they're doing. Thank you.
Before I say anything, I would also like to thank Mr. Hart for giving me and us the opportunity to work in Waterloo, Iowa. My name is Matthew Brook, and I'm a 16-year-old. I live just outside of Milwaukee. I enjoy coming to work camp because I can have a physical, mental, emotional impact on not only myself, the other workers, and the homes and the residents that I'm working on. It's just nice to see that my effect is felt from the heart, from the mind and such.
Hi, my name is Nicole Ebel. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and I will be a sophomore at Simpson College in Indianola, Iowa in the fall. I'm a summer staffer with Group Mission Trips, so my role in the camps is I spend my whole summer traveling the country with my crew putting on these camps. Our crew is putting up 4 camps throughout the summer, and Waterloo is our 3rd. We are thrilled to be here, and we couldn't be more blessed to be working with such a great co-sponsor and with such a great community. The reason I'm here and the reason I love my job is because I love getting to serve and work with our amazing volunteers and our campers, and especially the residents. They're phenomenal, and hearing their stories and just getting to help them, even just a fresh coat of paint, it does so much in their lives, and just getting to know them is a great thing, and really being here is just a great experience.
Well, good evening. Thank you again, Quentin. Thank you, Mayor and the council. My name is Keith Warner. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This was my 14th work camp where I volunteered to work with the youth, work with the staff, work with great people, and work with the residents. And it's so wonderful that people are willing to come together and help a community. And we just give thanks for everybody that's been supporting us doing these things. I enjoy working with the youth and helping, and I believe that by doing that, they'll give back to the community and maybe be a better place to live. Thank you.
And I'd like to invite you, Mayor Clark, and the whole council and residents as well to our program on Friday evening. It's at 7:30. So if you're free, we would love to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you very much. Very good. Thank you, Quentin. Thank you for organizing this fabulous event, and thank you all for coming. Much appreciated. And Anna, just for a point of reference, you're welcome to stay and watch the entire council meeting if you'd like and partake. You don't have to if you don't want to. We won't be offended at all if you guys don't stay. It's a great civics lesson, but I understand. So feel free. Feel free. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. Have a great rest of the week. You bet.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hart?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the Waterloo Public Library restroom renovation.
We got to do the consent agenda.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, my
consent agenda.
gosh. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive, place on file, and approve the consent agenda items 1A through B20. Also, with the approval of the consent agenda, I move that we make our bills payment.
The bills this week are $6,726,273.36, 6,726,273.36.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions regarding the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I was
Mr.
wondering
Schmidt.
if we could take item 1B7, the beer license for Dixon Grocery and Takeout, and make that a item all by itself.
Sure, certainly can. So, without further comment, if there is any, is there any? Hearing none, Dixon Grocery and Takeout on Lynn Street will be acted on individually. There's a motion and a second. Roll call vote on the remainder of the consent agenda.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Okay, let's address, what will we call that, Madam Clerk?
Item
Just
1B7.
item 1B7, acting on itself. How unique that is. I'd offer, I accept a motion, or however you want to address it.
Does that make a motion to approve a Class C beer license, and that'd be a new license for Dixon Grocery and Takeout at 926 Lynn Street with a expiration date of May 27th, 2015, including Sunday sales.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and now, council, questions or comments?
Well, I guess the question I had, I'm looking for a little history on this facility. I know I think it's been several years that this had previously been a neighborhood grocery store, and I thought that there had been some issues with that facility, and I guess I'm all about, I think it's just great to have a grocery store in that neighborhood. I'm just concerned about the beer license, basically, is that.
Eric, would you like to address it? But while Eric's walking to the microphone, Mr. Schmidt, I will say that I had the same concern, and my concerns were assuaged when there was a long signature list.
Petition?
Petition, thank you.
Yep.
A long petition signed by many of the neighbors in support of it. So, Eric, go ahead.
Yep, Eric Schrader, city planner. The site has historically been an alcohol sales use that was grandfathered in, but it has been shut down for longer than the time period allowed by the zoning ordinance. So the applicant did go before the Board of Adjustment asking for a variance to reestablish a legal nonconforming use. He did submit a petition that had quite a few signatures from the surrounding neighborhood, and I believe no one spoke at the Board of Adjustment meeting opposed to it. I think we might have gotten a call with one concern, but no one spoke at the Board of Adjustment meeting opposed. The Board of Adjustment did grant a variance to reestablish the nonconforming use, so therefore the request does meet all zoning requirements.
Madam Clerk, were there any written objections regarding this issue that you're aware of?
Not that I've received.
Yeah, Noel pointed out, the Board of Adjustment, staff recommended and the board approved it as a one-year kind of special permit variance to kind of make sure that it doesn't cause any issues. So if issues do arise, that it's causing a nuisance or something like that to the neighborhood, the Board of Adjustment will have the opportunity to review that in a year. So they didn't just grant it outright. They did kind of grant a one-year temporary to give it a grace period to review it.
And the petition did have beer sales as part of it, not just grocery, correct?
Correct.
That was beer.
That was made clear in the petition,
Okay,
in the
great,
application.
thank you.
Further questions? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 2, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 2 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the Waterloo Public Library restroom renovation.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, were there any written objections on file to item number 2, the library restroom renovation?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against item number 2 tonight? A second time?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Schmidt, or Mr. Jones, excuse me.
Goodness gracious. I
Well,
look nothing like him.
We're in the same corner. We're in the same corner.
All right. I was just concerned that even the lowest bid came in substantially higher than the estimate. So.
Greg, do you want to address that, please?
Craig Clark, building official. The estimate was a little bit lower than the lowest bid. One of the things we probably needed to tweak that a little after the two addendums that came out. There was two addendums that came out during the bid process that I don't think we took into consideration. I actually still think we might have been just a little bit low. I think in our thinking, we would have added about 15,000 to it, and it came in a little more than that even. So, bids are bids, but that was my best that we thought at that time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Are there any further questions regarding item number 2? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution ordering construction.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion then to receive and file and instruct the city clerk to read bids and refer to building official, maintenance administrator for review.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
There were 3 bids received. The first bid was from Don Gardner Construction of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid security was for 5%. The bid amount was $126,000, 126,000. The second bid was from Baylor Hurley Construction of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid security was for 5%, and the bid amount was for $133,275, 133,275.00. And the final bid was from Woodruff Construction LLC of Iowa City, Iowa, and the bid security was for 5%, and the bid amount was for $161,161,000.00.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Craig, would you, no, never mind, you already have it. Item number 3, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart?
move to receive and file proof of publication, a notice of public hearing for the bid for janitorial services, City of Waterloo.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file to item number 3?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against the janitorial services for the City of Waterloo? Yes, sir? Well, let me see here.
Says no.
He said he
Oh, wait,
didn't want
no? Okay, I'm sorry, okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak either for or against the bid for janitorial services? A second time.
to. Mr. Mayor, I move to close the hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I want to ask a couple questions.
Okay.
Would this be the time?
No, just give me a chance here, okay.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to close the hearing. Council, do you have any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Craig a couple questions.
Sure.
Craig, is this the time to ask questions about Midwest Janitorial, their service they provide and what all it provides, or wait for a later time?
No, are they one of the bidders, Pat?
Yes, yes.
I guess we can.
Are they gonna, would whoever the bidder is, are they gonna be here? There's gonna be a public hearing on this?
This would be the public hearing for this to go out there will be an award of contract yet that will come on the 28th.
Okay, and that would be a public hearing then?
No,
Mayor?
this is the public hearing for it.
Okay, because I had some concerns, and I know I talked to you about this regarding Midwest Janitorial, and I had some questions if they got the bid, or whoever got the bid, regarding who they be employing and how much they be paying and things like that.
Correct, and I can find that information out. I have a meeting set up with them Wednesday, and I can get you all that information, but I did not get that today after we had talked.
Okay, then I can wait for that. then.
Yeah, and I believe if you have questions, for lack of a better word, Pat, regarding the firm that gets the bid, if you and Craig can get together, maybe you can get those answered. You will certainly be given the opportunity to speak when we award the bid, and you'll have the opportunity to voice your affirmation or objections at that time, and you can vote your conscience at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm doing that is I feel that it's really important that whoever gets this service, that they provide jobs that are well-paid for their employees and provide some benefits in that rather than sub-minimum wage or minimum wage jobs for doing this service.
Okay. And we can have that discussion certainly at the time of the awarding of the bid of the contract.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir?
So who provides the service now? Is it this company?
Craig, please. Tell us why we're going out for bid. Is this the end of a contract? Why or what?
Craig Clark, building official. This is the end of the contract. Our contract with ABM Janitorial runs out August 1st, so we are out for bid per the contract. We could extend it 2 years, and we have done that, so we've been under 5 years with ABM Janitorial, and now we have rebid it, and we'll hear the bids just in a few seconds here, I'm sure.
Did they not bid?
They did not bid it. I actually did talk to them after the bid, and there was a mix-up in their office, and they did not get it bid.
Did they intend to bid?
They did intend to bid it.
They are very clean.
Okay. Are there further questions at this time?
Well, I guess,
What
Craig,
Where are we?
how does this bid compare to the cost for janitorial services today?
The cost for, if you take the whole bid over all the buildings, it is actually less. Individual buildings are higher and lower, but overall, the total cost is less than we pay today.
How much less? About?
Percentage.
I'm not for sure, David. I'm gonna have to get that for you. I think it was like $253 on the $7,500 a month that we pay.
So not very
Not very
significant.
much.
And I would also suggest, Mr. Jones, keep in mind that contract is 2 years old. That bid was 2 years ago.
It's actually 5 years old.
5 years old. Okay, so we're not necessarily comparing apples and apples to those two things.
No, but we also only got one bidder as well.
Okay? Okay. Are there further comments now? Okay, there is a motion and a second to close the hearing and receive and file the comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution confirming approval of specifications, bid documents, et cetera.
Second?
And that's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Very good, that motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second?
Madam Clerk, please, that's a roll call vote also.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file and instruct city clerk to read bids and refer to building official maintenance administrator for review.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk, please.
There was one bid received from Midwest Janitorial Services of Hiawatha, Iowa. The bid security was in the form of a check for $4,295, 4,295.00. The bid amount is for $7,154 per month, 7,154.00.
Very good. And Craig, you will review that and try to get with Councilman Jones and Councilman Morrissey and see if we can get their questions answered before the awarding of the bid in 2 weeks. All right? Very good, thank you. Item number 4, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Welp.
Number 4 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of a public hearing for the bid of the fiscal year 15 ammunition supplies.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries, and that hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file to item 4?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against our ammunition supply bid? A second time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones?
just curious why we only got one bid. Isn't ammunition more of a commodity?
Dan, do you have any idea of why we only got one bid?
Dan Trelka, Director of Safety Services. I do not. I think last year we got several. I don't know why we only got one this year.
Okay.
And how do these amounts compare to last year's?
I don't know yet. I have to review them yet, but I can get that answer to you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Can you fix the microphone before you leave? Are there further questions regarding the ammunition bid? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of specifications, bid document, et cetera.
Second.
And that's a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, that motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to receive and file and instruct city clerk to read bid and refer to Director of Safety Services for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
There was one bid received from Ultramax Ammunition of Rapid City, South Dakota for 10,000 rounds of .40 S&W. Probably not gonna say these right, because I have no idea on ammunition. It's $299 per 1,000 rounds.
The 40 is 40 caliber, the S&W is Smith & Wesson.
Okay. For the Federal American Eagle 40 caliber S&W, we're gonna abbreviate, it's $262 per 100 rounds. For the Federal 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch shot shells, it's $107 per 250 rounds. For the Federal 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch shotgun shells, it's $118 per 250 rounds. For the Federal .223 caliber 64 grain Sierra boat tail, it's $211 per 500 rounds. And for the Federal American Eagle .223 caliber 55 grain, it's $161 per 500 rounds. And for the Federal .308 Winchester caliber, it's $360 per 500 rounds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Dan, if you might be able to just somehow call some colleagues or check into it, see if other cities are having issues with getting multiple bids, and maybe we can have an answer for Councilman Jones, that would be good. Thank you. Item number 6, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 6, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the purchase of snow removal equipment at the Waterloo Regional Airport. And this would be for a utility vehicle with snow blower and broom.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries, and that hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file to item number 6?
Then there were none.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either for or against the purchase of some snow removal equipment at the Waterloo Airport? Second time.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of specifications, bid document, et cetera.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please, it's a roll call vote.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
That motion carries also.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file and instruct the city clerk to read bids and refer to airport director for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
There was one bid received for this project, for this equipment. It was P&K Midwest of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid security was in the form of a check for $4,441, 4,441.00. The total bid amount was for $88,820, 88,820.00.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart.
I move to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the purchase of snow removal equipment at Waterloo Regional Airport, pickup truck with plow.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file to us buying a pickup truck? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the Waterloo Airport buying a snowplow, a pickup truck with a snowplow? A second time.
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution confirming approval of specification, bid documents, etc.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file and instruct city clerk to read bids and refer to the airport director for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk, please.
Also one bid for this equipment. It was from Dan Dairy Motor Company of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid security was in the form of a check for $1,984.90, 1,984.90. The total bid amount was for $39,698, 39,698.00.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 8, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Morrissey.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for purchase of snow removal equipment at Waterloo Regional Airport, front end loader.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries, and that hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, were there any written objections on file to item number 8?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either for or against the airport buying a front end loader? Second time.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and receive,
Second.
Just close the hearing.
close the hearing.
There you go. Council, do you have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a resolution confirming approval of specifications, bid document, et cetera.
Second.
And that's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file and instruct city clerk to read bids and refer to airport director for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
2 bids received for this equipment. The first is from Murphy Tractor and Equipment Company of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid security was in the form of a bid bond for $13,138, 13,138.00. The bid amount is for $243,494, 243,494.00. The second bid is from Titan Machinery of Center Point, Iowa. The bid security is for 5%, and the bid amount is for $248,206, 248,206.00.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mike, you're in the snow removal business at the airport after tonight. Good job. All right, that's the end of our hearings, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into resolutions, please, and if we can take the first 3, someone, 9, 10, and 11.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 9 is adopting a resolution approving the installation of a 100-watt decorative streetlight pole at the southeast corner of Ravenwood Road and Ravenwood Circle. Item 10 is adopting a resolution approving relocating a 100-watt decorative street light pole at the southwest corner of Red Tail Drive and Harbin Drive. And item number 11 is adopting a resolution approving submission of grant application for feral cat trap neuter return program.
Second.
Very good. Council, do you have any questions regarding 9, 10, or 11? Any of those 3? Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 11, Sandy, who are we applying, or who's that grant applied to? I couldn't quite figure that out from the paperwork.
Sandy Greco, Superintendent of Traffic Operations. Right now, we're applying with PetSmart Charities, and there's a no match to that. So if we're granted, it'll be whatever they give us.
Okay, so if we get a grant, we will trap and neuter feral cats, and if we don't, we won't?
Right.
Okay. And is this Waterloo, or is this Cedar Falls, or is this both?
This would be both.
This would be both. All right, thank you.
Very good. Further questions? Madam Clerk, those are roll call votes for all three, please.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Let's do the next three, please, 12,
Mr.
13, and
Mayor?
14. Mr. Morrissey?
I'd like to make a resolution approving submission of Blackhawk County Gaming Association grant application in the amount of $400,000 to be used for funding to support construction and installation of a fuel distribution site at the new Public Works Building, and authorize mayor to execute said document. Number 13, I can make a resolution approving request by the City of Waterloo to name a new private street as Tunis Circle, generally located east of Progress Avenue and north of Green Hill Road. And 14, a resolution approving request by the City of Waterloo to rename Public Gray Street between Acadia Street and Easton Avenue to Van Syak Drive.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Councilman Morrissey. Council, do you have any questions on 12, 13, or 14?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have one question.
Mr. Lind.
The fuel distribution, is that in addition to the fuel site we have now, or are we moving that site over? My question.
That's in addition to, but I'll let Mr. Rice explain.
Oh, Dan.
Dan's fault.
Mark Rice, Public Works Director. This is in addition to what we found in 2008 was it would really behoove our emergency vehicles to have fuel on both sides of the river. So that's been our long-term goal to get to that point.
We have the building official fix our microphones. Are there further questions, council, regarding either of those three?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr.
No
Morrissey.
question, but just, I would like to draw attention to Jean Leaders, who's here, and she was the one who sent the letter regarding renaming Gray Street to Van Syak.
good.
I'd like to just recognize her.
Very good, thank you. What a great idea, and thank you, Gene. That was a good deal. I'm glad we could get that adopted for you.
Danny Van Sykes' wife and daughter are also here.
Very good. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Pat, for bringing that up also. Very well done. It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Those motions carry. Let's take the last four, please, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Cole.
I move we adopt a resolution approving request by the City of Waterloo to name a public alley as East Hanover Street, located between Logan Avenue and East 4th Street, and West Hanover Street, generally located between David Street and Logan Avenue. 16 is a resolution setting a date of hearing as July 28th to approve the request of Brent Dahlstrom of Cedar Falls to rezone 2.38 acres from R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District and R3 RP Planned Residence District to R2 RP Planned Residence District, located southeast of 5609 Summerlin Drive, and instruct city clerk to publish notice. 17 is a resolution setting date of hearing as July 28th to approve the request of Brent Dahlstrom of Cedar Falls for a site plan amendment to the R2 RP Planned Residence District to allow for the construction of 5 duplexes located southeast of 5609 Summerlin Drive, and instruct city clerk to publish notice. 18, I move we adopt a resolution approving professional service agreement with Main Street Waterloo for 1 year, FY15, in the amount of $40,000 per year to furnish technical and professional assistance in connection with the redevelopment of downtown Waterloo.
Second.
Very good. Council, do you have any questions regarding any of those four? Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries. Item 19, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 19 is a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the second time an ordinance vacating the west 40 feet of David Street located south of West Parker Street, subject to the retention of a utility easement over, under, and upon the entire area to be vacated. And that's a request of Dennis Hagenow to vacate the west 40 feet of David Street located south of West Parker Street, subject to the retention of utility easement over, under, and upon the entire area to be vacated.
Second?
Very good. There's a motion and a second. Before we take a vote on that, I know there are some people in the audience that would like to speak to that. I will allow that. So please, if you give us your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I will. Good evening. I'm Mike Young. I'm an attorney with the Dutton Law Firm here in Waterloo, representing Dennis Hagenow, who's the applicant here before you tonight. And this is on the second reading for a request to vacate the 40 feet that's closest to my client's property, the Hagenow's property, and it's to the west. And this is a request that was approved, was recommended for approval by Planning and Zoning, passed Planning and Zoning 6-1, and then passed on first reading 7-0, and then was up last week for second reading, and it was denied 4-3. And that was on Monday night. And then on Tuesday, we got to work and just wanted to present our side of the story and got in touch with, I think, all 8 of you. So thank you all for listening to us. Everybody listened. Nobody did exactly what we wanted, but everybody listened to us, heard our side of the story, which is probably how it should work. So what we asked was, again, that we present our side of the story because we had some respectful disagreements, I guess, with the Jet Lounge, which are the neighbors, and there have been some issues with parking and trash and driving through the property. And so we met out there. I want to particularly commend Councilman Jones, who met us out there last Tuesday evening, and we talked with Matt Oltrogge, who's one of the owners of the Jet. He was there as well. And from that, what we talked about, trying to untie this complicated knot, was the possibility of going out and getting an appraisal for the property, getting a third-party appraisal, and then the Hagenows said they would honor that price to sell the property or the portion of the property. This would be the east 40 feet, not the 40 feet that's in front of us on the request tonight, but the east 40 feet. And Mr. Oltrogge and then his attorney, Steve Scram, have talked about their considering that. They didn't want to fully commit to doing that, but what we decided was if we asked for our request to be brought back up this evening, but then tabled. And so I'm here tonight to ask that this request be tabled for 60 days, which would give us time to get that appraisal and also would allow the Jet Lounge to complete their paving and stormwater detention on their parking lot, get that in line. And so then we really know what we're talking about with this part of David Street, which would be the east 40 feet, again, not this part. But talked to Mr. Scram last week. We talked again this afternoon, and we've been tossing around names of appraisers, and so we're moving ahead tomorrow, the next day. He told me he would not be here, but some of his clients might be as well. So I'm here. I could talk to you for hours about this. We already have in this room, and others with planning and zoning, but if there are any questions of us.
Right now, does anybody have any questions of Mike right now? I'm going to let the other party have the floor also, and we can reserve questions if we have any, or you can take some right now if you'd like.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I might, but I'd like to wait to see what the other side.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Mike. Stay close, but you're next, sir.
My name's Andy Huffman. I'm one of the owners of Jet Lounge. It was my understanding that the only topic tonight was going to be the request that was given to us today to have this tabled. I was not aware that we were going to discuss my parking lot, which has no issue, and everybody here knows that. Today we were supposed to talk about it being tabled, so I'm kind of questioning why we're going into other topics tonight.
Sure, Mike?
Sure, I'll answer that. Probably the heart of this matter gets down to the parking that's on David Street. David Street is a private property that the Hagenows went through with the railroad to have the street vacated. And there's an easement that allows for access, not for parking, but allows for access from the city. And that's really the heart of the matter. Now, the Hagenows since they've owned the property and got title to the property and then got a quitclaim deed from the city in October of last year, have dealt with a few things. One is, and probably the worst, is trash on their property, on this part of David Street that they own. And it's bad trash. It's been bottles, broken bottles, condoms, syringes. It's been certainly a nuisance for them to deal with. The second thing is parking on the property. It caused some people from the Jet Lounge, and I think it was primarily the Jet Lounge that's, I think, probably been most opposed to this. There are also people that were driving through their property to get kind of cut across to Parker Street. But then lastly, and importantly, there was a big issue with liability, and there is an issue with liability, that if patrons of the Jet Lounge are parking on private property, that's the Hagenhouse property, we don't know who's liable for it if they're using the city's easement in order to do that. So the question became, what can we do to protect the property? And that's why the concrete barriers were put up there, and the request to vacate came before you. The request that came before you tonight, which we didn't think was controversial, was the west 40 feet, closest to the Hagenhouse property. And so, and again, that passed 6-1 planning and zoning and then passed 7-0 here. But the issue that comes out, and I think why it is relevant here, is 6 years ago, the Jet was required, when they got a permit to expand their property, was required to pave their parking lot and then also complete their stormwater detention plan. And that hasn't been done. And I think there have been a couple violation notices sent to the Jet. And Mr. Morrissey, when we talked about that, that was one of the issues here, is why hasn't the parking lot been completed at the Jet? Because I think if that parking lot was completed, the Jet patrons probably wouldn't be as likely to park on the Hagenhouse property. They would park in the Jet's parking lot. And so that got then to the issue of, well, what are we talking about with the east 40 feet? Well, if the Jet is paved and they've got plenty of parking spaces, I think 51 parking spaces there, then we would figure out what the Jet wanted for parking spots on the east 40 feet of David Street. And again, this request that's for you tonight is on the west 40 feet. But I think as we talked about and we went around and around on Tuesday night, is a lot of things have to fall into place. We got to figure out what the value is of the east 40 feet. And that's not the request tonight, but eventually that would be. What value is that? And then what's the Jet, what do they want for their parking or their access on that part of the property? And that's why we've asked for I think the 60-day delay would give everybody a chance to sort things out, to get that appraisal, figure out what the price is, and then move on to, okay, what part of the property are we talking about?
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, just, do you want to respond, or Mr. Hart has a question?
Right now, there's not a request before us about the details of what their contractual work will be. I think the time frame about the postponing it will give them an opportunity to try to work together and bring something back to the council. So, I mean, I don't think we have to decide on any of that stuff right now. I would definitely like you guys to continue to work that out and get those irons worked out. So that's just the comments I have.
Mr. Upman.
I'm just going to reiterate this one more time. I was told tonight was about pushing this back. Mm-hmm. And as I fully thought, Mr. Young would take the time to go into other endeavors. My attorney's not here. I'm not an attorney. So rather than me rebut all the things that Mike just said, I'd appreciate if it was tabled and I could have my attorney here next time.
So you support tabling the item, Mr. Upman?
I reluctantly support it, yes. I don't think we're going to get a resolution from it.
Okay.
I mean, the land was bought in question for $500. There was not appraisal done when he bought it, because that appraisal would cost as much as the land or more.
Okay.
So to have an appraisal done today, we're going to have a real hard time finding a piece of land that's going to be of that size, with an easement on it, right away, all the things involved here. I don't know how we're going to find a comparable. And I'm also not a real estate agent, but that's primarily how you do it. It's comparable, or what they purchased it for. And we know it's $500. So
okay.
I think we're having a hard time here, but I would agree to it just for the sake of not continuing this argument, hopefully to get an agreement.
Thanks, Mr. Upman. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Matt Oltruggy. I'm Andy's partner there. When I spoke to Steve Scram today, we talked about tabling this for a couple of weeks. The concern that I would have is Dennis illegally blocked this property back in October. And so to table it for 60 days, Eric Johnson had informed Steve that they thought that Mark Wininger, one of the appraisers, could get out there in the next couple of weeks. So I would think that 30 days at most would be sufficient, and we could hopefully get a final resolution to this.
Thanks, sir. Yes,
Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
Matthew? Yes. My question is all this causing the business there to get any kind of financial damage?
Yeah, a tremendous amount. Andy and I have been down there for a little over 10 years now, and this has been the most difficult time. We specifically noticed a huge drop-off in October. You got a picture that we were left with 29 foot to enter the property and an alley on the other side. So it caused heavy traffic to the alley, to Corey that spoke last week. But, you know, it just wasn't designed that way. When we did the addition, we relied on the David Street right-of-way to enter the property. Now, in May, Planning and Zoning looked at the issue, and they ruled in our favor not to vacate the request. So Mr. Young and the Hagenows took the approach of going back in June and getting an approval for just a part of it. We knew that the ultimate decision would lie in the council, and from several discussions with Noel and with Eric Schroeder, it's a difficult process that, you know, can continue to bring us back, and a lengthy process. So, but things have increased slightly, you know, since the blocks were moved back and there's some access. But we don't believe that the easement should be lifted at all unless there's an agreement between the two sides. This is an easement, as Steve Scrams pointed out, that's been in existence for over 100 years and that we relied on specifically for the most recent time, you know, when we added a 2,000 square foot addition onto the property. So.
Thanks, man.
And Matthew, the request that was here tonight before this idea of tabling it was to vacate the west 40 feet. If that was to be approved and there was an understanding and agreement that there would be no attempt by Mr. Hagenow to attempt to vacate any portion of that east 40, would that be sufficient if there was that agreement that there would be no further attempts to vacate any part of that remaining 40 feet, the east part?
Right, I can see what you're saying. Again, I guess we'd like, you know, we've bounced 4 or 5 offers back and forth on this property to try to see if there could be a resolution. As I said, this has went on for a long time, so we don't think that we should change anything in the easement at all unless there's an agreement between the two parties. So there would have to be, you know, the two of us come together. Now, this is another attempt to go back and have an appraiser come out, and as Mike said, his clients would honor what the appraisal of the property would be, so that's something that we could look at. Ultimately, you know, we want a resolution with our neighbor. You know, we've been neighbors for several years, but this has just been extremely hard. So hopefully, tabling it here, hopefully we can come back and revisit the issue in a month, and maybe you'll have both sides in agreement that they've come to an agreement to split the east portion, you know, to the jet, or the easternmost portion, and the west portion to Mr. Hagenow.
And you can have this done in a month.
Well, as I said, I spoke with Steve Scram, and he spoke with Eric, and they thought that they could get an appraisal in a couple of weeks. Quentin, we just don't want to see this go until the fall again. We're clicking pretty close to a year that this has been going on, so I think that Eric said that he thought we could get an appraisal faster. And I would imagine 2 to 3 weeks. You know, I don't know where the appraisers are at right now, but we should have something back.
Can we ask Mr. Young a question?
Mike?
The 30 days was mentioned. Is that acceptable at this point?
It would be. We'd like to bring this back for approval as quickly as possible. I'm going back, we discussed it, it was our contention. And on the Hagenow side, we didn't want this to go on indefinitely either, so that's why we threw out 60 days. Steve Scram did call me today. I reached out to him, I think, last Wednesday. He got back on Thursday. He's still, I gave him a couple names of appraisers. He thought about that over the weekend, I think, talked to Eric Johnson. He called me this afternoon, said they were still thinking about some other ones. What we discussed was having each side pay half of the appraisal, rather than each side getting their own appraisals, paying for those, and splitting the difference. If we can get it done in 30 days, we'll be back in 30 days. If it's
Okay.
60, that's fine.
Always extend it if it's 30 days.
Yeah, so it would,
But I don't know the procedure here for asking
Just
It
table.
has to come from one of us, but, you know, I would make that motion that we table this for 30 days to get it.
Mr., well, I had another question.
Okay, Mr. Morrissey?
Mr. Young, this got brought up, and I wanted to ask you directly, on behalf of Mr. Hagenow, if that west 40 feet was, in fact, voted vacated, would Mr. Hagenow make an agreement that that would be it? There would be no further creeping eastward? That there would be no further request to vacate any portion of that east 40 feet?
I think if we could come up with an agreement on the price.
But I'm
to
saying
go
if
in,
that doesn't
that
happen.
both went in.
If that doesn't happen, Mr. Young?
That I don't know. And that one that's not before us with this request, but it is part of the issue. And here's why, we talked about this on Tuesday night with Councilmember Jones. What the Hagenows would like is some sort of buffer in their property so they didn't have to deal with all that trash. And so what we asked the Jet was, what are you looking for on the 40 feet that you want? What do you need it for? Do you need it for access or do you need it for parking? Because if you need it for parking, it's got to be paved for the city code. The city requires that of everybody, of every business here. And I think the question is, we'd have to find out if the Jet's going to pave it and if they want it for parking. If they don't want to pave it, then we'd prefer not to have a 40-foot driveway that's there, because that naturally leads to parking. There were people parking on
Aren't
that.
these all things that can be worked out during the
Yeah.
tabling process? We're not going to settle
Can
any
I
of
call
this.
the question?
Yeah,
Thank you.
There is a motion and a second to
Thank you.
table for
Yeah.
30 days. And there's been a call for the question. Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Very good. The motion is tabled for 30 days. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mr. Hart, I think we can do a couple together here if we look at these closely. How about 20, 21, 22, and 23? I think are all just setting date of hearing. Possibly we can do those together.
Right. Mr. Mayor,
Hart?
in 20, I move to instruct the Public Works Director to prepare specifications, bid documents, et cetera, for the purchase of a 5-ton overhead crane and installation. 21, I move to instruct the Public Works Director to prepare specifications, bid documents, et cetera, also for the purchase of an oil distribution system. In 22, I move to instruct the Community Development Director to prepare plans, specifications, form of contract. In 22, for the request for proposal for demolition and site clearance services for 1423 Hawthorne Avenue, 928 Mulberry, 421 Almond, 717 Vinton, 1013 Lincoln Streets. And also in 23, from our Community Development Director, request for proposals for well plugging, demolition, and site clearance services for former Rath Packing Company well house located in the 1600 block of Sycamore Street.
Second?
Council, do you have any questions regarding any of those four? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, on 20, 21, 22, and 23, I move to receive and file specifications, bid documents, form of contracts, et cetera.
Second?
Okay, very good. Council, questions on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, on 20, 21, 22, and 23, I move to adopt a resolution preliminary approving specifications, bid documents, and form of contracts.
Second?
Madam Clerk, that's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, on all four of those items, I move to adopt a resolution setting date of bid opening as July 24, 2014, and hearing as July 28, 2014, and instruct city clerk to publish notice of specifications, bid documents, et cetera, and taking of bids.
Second?
It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good, that motion carries. Madam Clerk, is 24
It's deleted.
is deleted? There are two,
Yes,
okay, so we have no 24.
correct.
Okay. Item 25, 26, 27, and 28, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Cole.
I move we approve change order number 2 for an increase of $86,950 for work performed by Kramer and Associates, Inc. of Grimes, Iowa, for the FY 2014 Bridge Deck Repair and Overlay Program, contract number 777, and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Okay, hang on just a second, Carolyn, please. That is on my agenda, item 24. That's why I was asking.
You got the wrong agenda.
I didn't grab it, I got it given to me. Okay.
25, 26,
Okay, so, very good, thank you. Sorry, Ms. Cole.
That's
Please-
okay.
Please continue.
It's very confusing this week.
Okay.
26 is a motion to cancel the regular council meeting of July 21st due to the lack of a quorum. 27 is a resolution resetting the public hearing to July 28th for the FY15 Seal Coat Program. 28 is a resolution approving designating the financial institutions that will be used as depository institutions of the city and the maximum amounts that may be maintained on deposit
Okay,
at
wait,
each.
hang on just a second, Ms. Cole. I'm sorry, do what?
Clinton has 29, can you
Oh,
just stop
okay,
there and
okay,
do 29?
if we can stop there and just take those, they've got a little bit of a change on the last one, Ms. Cole, that you don't
Oh,
have.
fine.
Okay, so, whatever number those were 25, 26, 27, and 28.
Correct.
Was there a motion and second? Oh, I need a second, please.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second, and those are roll call votes. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion's carried. Mr. Hart, number 29, please.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt a resolution dismissing prior bids and authorizing rebid, along with resetting bid opening as July 31st, 2014, and public hearing as August 4th, 2014, in conjunction with the purchase of snow removal equipment at Waterloo Regional Airport carrier vehicle with rotary plow.
Second.
Very good, thank you. And that's a roll call vote. I'm sorry, council, do you have any questions? Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries. I believe that's the end of our regularly scheduled business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was a bit confusing tonight because of our canceling of the meeting next week, et cetera, but we're back on track. It is time for oral presentations. If there's anyone in the audience who'd like to address mayor or council. I have one person. Dan, can you help this gentleman with the microphone, please?
We do have more.
And I've got one signed up, too, so, yeah. I'll- but I'm not-
Bruce
Yes, sir.
Kazzer,
Yes, Bruce.
Sycamore Street, Waterloo. I hope and pray that the council members disregarding testimony pass the language of that the parties asked for continuance, because that's an admissible evidence.
I didn't understand your
I say-
request, Bruce, I'm sorry.
Okay, all language past the words they asked for a continuance should be disregarded, because that's an admissible evidence. I mean, for all they did was they asked for that continuance.
Yeah.
Both sides were talking about the evidence. And then both sides had extra language trying to sway the council.
Okay, well, it's fairly typical procedure, Bruce, for us for the council to table an item when we have an item that has some controversy, when the parties on both sides are willing to discuss that further and possibly reach some kind of a settlement prior to the council taking an action. It's relatively
Right.
common for us to table that item.
They say, though, both sides, though, were trying to add extra information, trying to sway the decision, and
Well, that'll be up to them.
it should be disregarded until the actual time they have the discussion, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate the comments. Thank you, sir. And I do have one person that has signed up that gets preference over people in the audience. So, Mr. Sherbon, you called in and asked to speak.
John Sherbin, 1715 Robin Road. My questions was answered earlier at a meeting this afternoon. My other question would be these microphones that are that you guys use up front, was that put in by the same people to put those TV screens up?
The microphones are the same microphones that have always been here. They haven't been replaced. The TV screens were installed by a different company separate from who installed the microphones. I know we're still having some issues and they are working on them. They were here a little bit last week and they'll be back, so we are.
That is a joke. When the screens fall down, you guys are sitting underneath them. Is it the same crew put them on and put that up?
Thanks, John.
It's not the
Appreciate it.
same group.
Thank you. Now, yes, sir.
Brian Molnar, Blonigan, 3532 Augusta Circle, Waterloo. I just wanted to mention something after sitting in the back and listening tonight. I have some questions and a few comments about the bidding process. If I remember from previous meetings, I was wondering when, and if so, why was the policy changed that the bids be opened prior to the meeting instead of at the meeting? If this was for expediency's sake, expediency in this instance was a poor choice. I believe the citizens of Waterloo deserve to be assured that the bidding process is fair. For public purchases, sales, they all must be conducted fairly. Council members should be just as anxious to ensure the city is getting the lowest possible price for purchases of equipment or services, or conversely, top dollar for any proposed sales. I would urge the council for these reasons, as well as transparency, that the council resumes the previous protocol of opening bids in public at a council meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I will note that the bids are still opened at a public meeting. We've actually, those of you who have attended those have noticed we've had a great increase in participation in those bid openings. Several of the bidders are actually attending, and we have had a pretty good showing at those meetings. So they are public meetings. They're always Thursday at 1 o'clock at City Hall. And
Okay, so there's a bid opening meeting.
Yes.
Where they're opened, and that meeting is public.
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
and it's posted.
And that's posted as part of the bid procedure at the opening of the bid?
Correct.
Okay.
They're always Thursdays.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Is there further?
Motion to receive and file oral comments and adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right.